All right, happy Labor Day. Can you believe it's Labor Day? September 2nd, 2024. Can you believe it's September? I can't believe it's September. Where has the time gone? Where does summer go? So what did you do for your Labor Day weekend? Or your Labor Day and your Labor Day weekend? I did lots of things today. So first of all, I went to took the kids to something. They had a thing. So I ended up having to kill time. And since there's nothing to do on Labor Day, there's nowhere to go. Usually when I kill time, I go to the library. In case you don't know me, I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. I'm a historian, writer, podcaster, content creator, guy that does all sorts of things. And so I, spend 95% of my time reading, researching, writing. So like, hey, where am I going to go if I need to kill time? Oh, I'll go to the library and I'll continue to do my thing. So I'm like, all right, sweet, drop the kids off, go to the library. Well, guess what? No libraries are open on Labor Day. So I had to go to a coffee place. I normally don't drink coffee from coffee places because it's always disgusting. So I went to this place that rhymes with Rigby Coffee. I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything about this place. It's not a review, but it was pretty gross. I personally don't like any store-bought coffee. Like, I don't go to the store and buy, $3-4 coffees. I'm just a regular coffee drinker. Like, drink regular coffee. I drink it all day. Like this guy here. It's my trusty companion through life. Have it with me always. Sip coffee all day. I brew my own. And I buy nice stuff, right? I like the stuff that, I like Blackout Coffee is good stuff, and some of those other brands, I buy that. So I had to drink because I was going to sit there and use their office, their lobby or dining area or whatever we're going to call it, to do work while I killed time. I had to drink by their coffee. My wife and I got coffees, and it was so gross, and it made me feel terrible. Like, I am a heavy coffee drinker. I drink coffee all day, every day, sip it all day, every day. And it literally made me feel like I was so just buzzed, but not like a good buzzed, like a disgusting, just like I just felt like over caffeinated, jittery. So besides for that, that ended eventually. I spent the rest of my afternoon after that fishing, which is a great hobby of mine. Went down, fished for like 2-3 hours, came home, had a fantasy football draft. Everybody went to bed. I'm awake because this is what I do. I stay up all hours and record videos and write blogs and write articles and listen to podcasts and watch football and do whatever. So here I am. I'm watching Florida State play Boston College right now, and what a game it is. Florida State is currently losing 28-13. What happened to them? Excuse me. So, yeah, football season is back. Michigan football, as a Michigan fan, that game the other night took years out of my life. I'm trying to be a passive football fan this year. I just think I want to like football more than I like Michigan football, and I'm done doing this stress out thing. And then, of course, I sit down and watch the game, and I feel like I'm going to die because of stress. And it's like, this is stupid. It's a game. It's a child's game. Why do I care about this? So I'm pushing for that this year. So if you have a favorite college football team, let me know. Or favorite pro team, because we have pro football starting Thursday. Pretty wild that we're here. So yeah, hopefully you all had a good Labor Day. I mean, I don't know if you could, if you normally do anything cool on Labor Day. I don't. Just kind of do whatever I can. But fishing was a good one, and you probably see you get sunburned. I went fishing today. Then went fishing on Saturday, and there's this place by my house. They stock it with trout. I'm a fly fisherman, so I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go. It was just me and my wife. Kids were off doing a thing. We're like, let's go fish. Let's go catch some trout. I didn't catch any trout, but there were dead trout everywhere. The trail around this place where I was just dead trout, and they were monster trout. Monster trout. It's like, really? I just, it's how it always is, right? It's like when I go hunting and I'll sit out there for like all day And then on my way into my car at the end of the day is when Bambi's dad comes up with like a 20-point rack and huffing and puffing at me. It's a joke. So I guess kind of what's even going on in the world these days? So a few things. We had we do know that unfortunately several of the terrorists kidnapped people that were kidnapped by terrorists, kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th, were found dead in Gaza. Let me write down where I'm going with this here. It's been a bit of a weekend. I'm a little tired, so yeah, that was they found the hostages there. It's a tragic story. I kind of wanted to briefly go over this because I thought it was kind of interesting. Kind of an interesting aside, because this is clearly the failure of the Biden administration when American citizens are killed by terrorists, or I think they're like mixed, like Israeli and American. But I'm trying to get let's see here. When is the date of this article? Okay, so this is from yesterday. I'm trying to find. I want to get the name of the place right where they were found. There we go. And you'll remember this because, come on now, because it was where Biden had said, he said don't invade Rafah, right? Or was that, yeah, that's what he said. And so he said if they do, we'll cut off arms supplies and things like that, and just you better not do it without U.S. approval. And then this is where they find the hostages. I don't know how to feel about the situation. I'm an ardent anti-war person. I'm a historian. I'm a military historian. I find war, the study of war, it's a fascinating subject. But war is always terrible. War should always be avoided. And war is a stupid waste. And 100 years from now, they will look back on wars we fought today and go, what was the point of that? Look at World War I, look at World War II. It's just millions of people die and there's just nothing to be gained from it. In the long term of history, it's just going to lead to more tensions abroad, to more potential war, and it's just a tragic thing. So with what's going on in Gaza, with Gaza and Israel, it's tragic. It truly is. And it's a sad thing that, people that were not, it's always the people in power that have, your everyday average citizen has to pay the price for whatever they're into, right? Like if you look at wars throughout history, like look at World War I, it's not, you have all these millions of people dying, but it's really just a big pissing contest between like the King of England and the Russian Empire and the Kaiser, and it's how this war is with Ukraine even. It's a big contest between the ruling classes of these countries. With the United States, you have it's with Biden, and then you have with Putin, and it's just this big pissing contest. And it's always just going to come at the cost of the everyday citizens who have to suffer through it, and it's really tragic. So I will cover that in a brief snippet. I wanted to just kind of give you an overview of what I wanted to talk about. So I have that. I did want to talk about the Trump visit to Arlington because, of course, the media is trying to spin that into a negative light. And then I kind of wanted to discuss Kamala Harris's housing plan. How does that sound? As a good Mises libertarian, I'm obsessed with economics. I thought that would be a fun topic to discuss. Something lighthearted, like the future destruction of our economy. So please do me a favor. Please like my video, subscribe to my video, share my video, follow me on Twitter, Join or Die News. Its link should be in the bio of my channel. Wherever you're watching this, please just help me grow, help me get along doing this. just to be fit, so you're aware, I'm a pretty staunch libertarian, a Mises libertarian, like a Ron Paul libertarian. Okay, I am not an ardent MAGA guy, but I really, really, really greatly dislike the Democrats and the left, like with every inch of my being. So I just want you to be aware of that. Okay, so if I say negative things about Trump or MAGA, I'm just being honest. Okay, I am very much a centrist. I'm very much an America focused person. I am all about my country. I'm very patriotic, all that stuff. I want to end the wars. I want to stop government spending. I want small government. I want government to go away. I want all of the typical libertarian-esque things. So just to let you know, because on X, of course, I'm getting attacked for being MAGA and being Trump. It's like, no matter what you do, if you criticize Kamala Harris, you're automatically it's because you're a deranged Trump supporter. Notice how both sides of the aisle are deranged. So, sorry, taking notes here. This is another thing. Sometimes I'm doing this, things pop in my head, and I want to keep track of what I'm talking about. So we're talking about with what happened with these hostages. And when Israel finally moved into the area, I want to get the story 100% straight here. So let me just pull it up so you can... so we can just go through this. So, come on. Okay, so 6 bodies recovered. What is happening? Okay, well, I guess not. This is stupid. Why can't I just have, like, there's not just one? You know what I'll do? I'll do this. Let me go to here. Sorry, I'm not normally this disorganized. It's been a long day. I wanted to get with you and just kind of talk, just kind of kick back and do this. Whatever, try this. So early Sunday, so that would be September 1st, Israel said they had recovered the bodies of 6 hostages captured during the October 7th attack at that music festival, including Israeli-American Hirsch Goldberg Poland, whose parents had led a high-profile campaign for the captives' release. The military said the 6 were killed shortly before Israeli forces were to rescue them, and that the bodies were found in a tunnel beneath the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The news sparked calls for mass protests by families of the hostages who said they could have been returned alive in a ceasefire deal. Goldberg, Poland, and 4 other hostages were taken from a music festival where Palestinian militants killed scores of people. The 6th was captured from a nearby farming community. Here's a look at the hostages. So, this high-profile kid, 23 years old, Hirsch Goldberg Poland, was a native of Berkeley, California. He lost part of his left arm to a grenade blast on October 7th. And in April, a Hamas-issued video showed him with his left hand missing, sparking new protests in Israel, urging the government to do more to secure his and others' freedom. His parents are U.S.-born immigrants to Israel. They became perhaps the most high-profile relatives of hostages on the international stage. They met with President Joe Biden, Pope Francis, and others and addressed the United Nations, urging the release of all hostages. So on August 21st, his parents addressed a hushed hall at the DNC after sustained applause and chants of bring him home. This is a political convention, but needing our only son and all the cherished hostages home is not a political issue. It is a humanitarian issue, said his father, John Poland. His mother, Rachel, who bowed her head during the ovation and touched her chest, said, "Hirsch, if you can hear us, we love you. Stay strong, survive." They sought to keep their son and other captives from being reduced to numbers, describing Hirsch as a music and soccer lover and traveler with plans to attend university since his military service had ended. At events, Rachel often addressed her son directly, urging him to live another day. So there's a whole list of other people And you have to wonder how realistic it ever was going to be for the Biden-Harris administration to negotiate the return of these hostages, and Israel for that matter. I'm not overly familiar with the situation, but from what I can gather, of course, it's politically expedient for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden after the fact to start, and they're expressing their deepest sympathies, but didn't appear to do a whole lot to fix the situation. And it wasn't really a thing that they were ever really talking about. The hostages continued to remain in custody for that whole time, and it's a really tough situation for the Democrats because it's very, very touchy subject for them when it comes to the future election of the United States. The war there is grossly unpopular, but the United States is extremely beholden to Israeli interests. And there's no way to really appease both sides of this. That's where the Democrats got into a very sticky situation. I would never doubt in a million years the Republicans will just ardently always be hyper supportive of Israel. But when it comes to the left, they're trying to play to both sides of this conflict. And you saw this with the mass protests. There were people that were just, keying up hard to go after the Biden administration for their basically allowing the war, the issues in Gaza to continue. So, it's very tragic that when word gets out that they're probably going to be rescued is when this happens. And this is what kind of mind-blowing, because Joe Biden is allegedly one of the most experienced foreign policy experts in the country, if not the world. His 50 years in office, and that was his thing. He was always talking about how great he was at that. And really, he's done a horrific job of dealing with everything in his tenure when it comes to foreign relations. He has done nothing to kind of push this whole war in Israel to a potential end. He has done nothing but continue to poke the bear when it comes to dealing with Vladimir Putin. And he's been non-existent. Let's be real here. While this stuff is going on, Biden's on vacation on the beach. And Kamala Harris, she makes a public show of meeting with Netanyahu. I think it was like a month back, or basically around the time that she became the nominee, to pretend like she was going to really push him to negotiate a peace or something, negotiate some sort of deal. And it's just laughable that she, they made her this high profile person in dealing with this situation, but nothing was accomplished. And I saw there were people who were going to meet with Taliban members because of an American hostage in Afghanistan. They were going to go to Qatar and meet with them. That's crazy. But that's the thing that we've come to. There's no getting done what needs to be done under this administration. It shouldn't have been this hard and this drawn out to negotiate the release. But what they wanted to do was just continue to level this area, like in Gaza. It just was that's what it was. It was just like, we just got to keep this ball rolling. And I'm floored that this happened. I don't want to delve way deep into this conversation because I don't know much about it. I just thought it was an interesting topic to bring up, thinking about like how, in the large scheme of things, how lacking in accomplishment the Biden administration has been in just about everything, especially in when it comes to dealing with these foreign conflicts. The Afghanistan withdrawal was a disaster. You have the war, Putin's invasion of Ukraine, and then you have this thing going on for almost a year now in Israel, with Israel and Gaza. So, what do you think? Do you think that this equates to a disaster for his administration? Or do you think that this is just whatever? This is just what the inevitable outcome was? Because according to people on X, when it comes to like the Putin situation, he just wants to conquer all of Europe. Somebody, I commented on that, on somebody said this, it was a whole list of insane things. Okay, let me read it to you. I'm not gonna pull the tweet up explicitly. The person blocked me anyways, but because it's absurd. Okay, here, let me read what I'll just name a list of things. Where did it go? I'll just go down the list of things and tell you what was said. Come on, where is it? This was yesterday. Okay, so this is a list. It's a very long thing. Person says we have to do whatever we can to make sure that a dictator, Trump, does not become president. He is proudly admitting he overturned Roe v. Wade. He wants to take women's rights away. He says that Trump and his MAGA people don't care about women who are suffering miscarriages die. What? They don't. So, okay, let me say. Some Trump and the MAGA GOP show us they do not care if women who are suffering miscarriages die or bleed out and die. They do not care, in all caps. They don't care if 12-year-old girls are assaulted. They will make them carry that child. They will stop contraceptives. They will go after same-sex marriages to end. They're going to go after the LGBTQ community. They want to dismantle the government, end Social Security, end programs that help the poor. They want this country to be whites and whites only, with one religion only, where all other races and religions are not on their level. Because only dictators want to close borders and isolate the country. They want to dismantle news stations who speak the truth. I don't understand. And have only the stations spin their narratives and lies. We are not Russia, North Korea, or China. We are the United States of America. We accept all from around the world. Trump will take us out of NATO, and Ukraine will fall, and all the European countries will be at risk to be at war because Putin wants the Russian Empire back. Our ancestors for over 200 years voted and kept dictators, that's what it says, kept dictators from running the country. We have to do the same as our ancestors did. We need to have a blue wave. And Trump will contest the votes no matter what. Okay, so there you have it. This idea that Putin wants the Russian Empire back. This person's very... Do we not know what the Russian Empire was? When did the Russian Empire happen? Please, anybody, any student in the classroom? The Russian Empire ended with the Russian Revolution in 1917. Putin is a product of the Soviet Union, which is the product of the toppling of the Russian Empire. He does not want the Russian Empire back. And there's no proof that he wants to rebuild the US, Russia to be the USSR of old. There's this idea that he'll conquer Ukraine, then he'll conquer Poland, then he'll conquer, like, so isn't it funny? She says in this very same thing, or this person does, that that he wants to close, Trump wants to close the borders because dictators want to close the border and isolate. But at the same time, dictators like Putin want to conquer Europe. Which one is it? Also, I don't know if you know what you're talking about, but historically, dictators rarely isolate. Actually, a lot of the major dictators of our time did the opposite and tried to conquer most of the world. And many were very successful for a time. So, aside from small dictatorships that don't have the capability of expanding far and wide, but like European dictators of old, you know, they did not isolate, did they? So this idea, though, it's a Biden administration trope to say that Putin wants to take back all of Europe. He wants to rebuild the Soviet Union. You know, it's just there's just nothing to this premise. And instead of trying to fix the situation and end the stupid war and stop sending them money, they continue to spin this narrative and make people feel completely petrified and constantly, you know, expecting it's going to be World War II all over again. In America, we're obsessed with World War II. Everything is always a parallel for World War II. So, was Biden's foreign policy experience valuable during his presidency, or did it do nothing? I'm going to say it did nothing. Okay, so I want to move on to Trump going to, so just keep that, I guess, think about that. Ask yourself, what have they done that's successful, not just in America, but in a geopolitical sense? It's not geopolitics. Geopolitics is a term, I mean, it's not what I mean, foreign relations sense. Geopolitics is actually like the study of political science. Like, you know, it's, people always say geopolitics, and that's not really what it means. Let me just give you a true definition, because you know what I mean. Foreign relations. So it's the study of the effects of geography on politics and international relations. So it's not, so like when you send your, you know, diplomats or your ambassadors abroad, that is not geopolitics. Geopolitics is it's an academic study of that. So foreign relations. Has Biden done a good job in foreign relations? I would say most people are probably going to give that a big, hell no. If you have a brain, you will. So I guess hearkening back to that tweet, I responded to that and I said, wow, this is just a giant palette wrapped nicely of all the crap the left has been selling people for the last, you know, 6-7 years. And then of course people jumped down my throat about it. Wow. Florida State's struggling, y'all. If you're a Florida State fan, I'm sorry. I'm expecting Michigan's probably going to get trucked by Texas this weekend, so it's not a good feeling, is it? Wow. All right. So, anyways, but back to that tweet. You know, it's this nice wrapped package of what the left's been selling people for the last few years, more than a few years now. You know, almost a decade, basically. That there's nothing true about that. I said that, and the thing I said that none of this is true. None of it. And people were like, I said it was horse crap, and they're like, you're horse crap. Good one. No, it's completely and utterly preposterous that Trump wants to end gay marriage. He wants to force women to die. He wants a whites-only country with one religion. Like, give me a break. You do realize he was president before, right? How powerful do you all think the president of the United States is? It's not that powerful. We have this idea in our heads, throughout a lot of people in this country, this idea in their heads that the president of the United States is a monarch who can do whatever he wants. And you heard that when COVID was a thing, people would be like, well, why doesn't Biden just, sign an executive order and force people to undergo this medical procedure, right? And it's like, well, he can't do that. He can force it on, you need it for federal jobs, federal property, things like that. But like, we have checks and balances in this country for a reason, everybody. So if Trump gets elected, he's not just going to be able to come in and do whatever he wants willy-nilly. That's not how this works. It doesn't work that way precisely for the reason that to protect you from the thing you fear. That's why it doesn't work. They didn't want a tyrant. So, stupid. Sorry, none of that is true. And people were coming after me. And then I got called a MAGA moron. It was a picture of a guy, like this guy with his teeth blacked out. And, MAGA morons are, I don't even know what it said, something dumb. And I was just like, listen, dude, I'm not a MAGA person, you freaking idiot. All I know is that this is absurd. This is a media concocted mental illness that's been brought to you by your everyday plate full of lies. And they've turned so many people in this country into a unified team of hating one person. It is publicly okay to hate as long as you hate DJT. That's it. You're actively allowed to hate somebody. And a lot of them, they hate him with every inch of their being. And it doesn't matter if the stuff that they hate him for is true or not. They don't care about that. What they care about is the way they feel. They live in they live in a reality that's fake. I guess it's not a reality, is it? They live in a fantasy world. There's nothing. There is the real world with rationality and logic, and then there's the fake world where everything is fantasy. They live in fake world, but they just want to pretend like everybody else lives in their fake world. Just like this story I'm talking about with Trump going to Arlington. It was on the anniversary of the withdrawal from Afghanistan. It's hard to believe it's been 3 years now. I can't believe it. It's been that long already. And, and Biden and Kamala got the invitation to go. Sorry, I'm suffering from, I have vestibular neuritis. So I got sick. So I have an inner ear thing where, like, if I sit up for too long in my desk chair, I feel like I'm on a cruise ship and it makes me feel kind of crappy. So if I lay back like this, it kind of just helps kind of stabilize my my vestibular system. I have vestibular issues. Anyways, it's really annoying. So they wanted to, so Biden and Harris, they had all the time in the world. They had all the same ability as Trump to show up at Arlington Cemetery for this event. And they didn't do it. I mean, you got it. It's partially because I doubt that Biden really cares all that much. And Kamala Harris is so petrified to make a public appearance anywhere. I don't think she'll do it anyways. But, first of all, she probably knew Trump was going to be there. And she said, I can't do it. I can't be in public with this person. Like, I can't be around him. I can't have that uncomfortable thing. Because all you have to do is showcase him as evil. I can't be in the room with this evil guy, or outside with this evil guy. So they're, they had all the time in the world to show up and handle the situation. Like, they could have showed up. It would have looked much better for them. And Biden's not going to show up because A, he probably doesn't really care all that much, and B, because he knows that it's basically his fault. And you're going to go visit the memorial of people that your disastrous withdrawal cost them their lives. But everything that happens, they have to spin it in a way that Trump is evil. Doesn't matter what it is, they have to find a way. And they're ninjas at it. They're like amazing at magically finding a way to turn it around so the guy is pure evil. So let me share with you this monstrosity from Kamala Harris. As vice president, I have had the privilege of visiting Arlington National Cemetery several times. It is a solemn place, a place where we come together to honor the American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service of this nation. It is not a place for politics. And yet, as reported this week, Donald Trump's team chose to film a video there, resulting in an altercation with cemetery staff. Let me be clear, the former president disrespected sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. It's not politically expedient for him. It's not cool to bring politics into it, as I bring politics into it. If it wasn't meant to be political, then why did you make a statement about it at all? Just let it be. If it was political and it was going to make him look bad, then she should have just not said anything. 7 minutes left in this game, and Florida State's about to blow it. They'll be 0-2. Crazy. Sorry, I'm distracted. So she had to make it political. And there was another thing where one of the people that were honored there died a rather tragic death. The family didn't really want that to be overtly public. And they just didn't want to be involved. And then, of course, the media gets on it. They publicly broadcast the way this person died, and basically saying like they're just upset that Trump publicized this. Trump publicized the situation so much that people know now about our situation. But it's like, but meanwhile, the media is presenting this to the public, to millions and millions of people. It doesn't matter what the guy does. They have to spin it in a negative light. If he donated his kidney to somebody who needed it, they would go, he's only doing that for publicity. He's only doing that because he's such a egocentric narcissist. How else can you prove you're not other than to just be a selfless person? Like, if he didn't do anything, he'd be a selfish person. If he does anything, he's a selfish person. Everything he ever does for publicity, doesn't matter what it is, everything he does good for people is just a publicity stunt. And they will spin it in every way. I remember the church incident in 2020, during the Summer of Love, as we called it. And there were riots outside the White House, Molotov cocktails. So many fun things were going on that summer outside of the White House, to the point where Trump ended up in a bunker and they mocked him mercilessly for that. But meanwhile, the political elites are under threat in a certain day in 2021. And we still haven't, we will forever hear about how horrible it was that they had to go through that. Well, that's neither here nor there. So he ends up in a bunker, and there's the church, I believe it's like across the street or next door, and they cleared it out with tear gas, the area, because get out of here, right? And of course, the narrative was that Trump had them tear gas it so he could walk up with the Bible, and it was for a photo op, which is not true. It's been debunked, but they still go with that narrative, right? But they look at what they do. Their supporters basically are actively rioting and burning and destroying things, basically historical monuments and historical registered places in our country that are somewhat sacred to the memory of the United States as a collective, and they clear out this mob, and he's the bad guy because of it. Trump goes to Arlington Cemetery when Biden and Kamala don't. Okay, and he gets on video, and he's the bad guy for it. I don't understand. What else can the guy do? There's just nothing he can do to make these people happy. They will, like I said, he could sacrifice his kidney to some analyst on CNN or something, or give his kidney to Kamala Harris, and it wouldn't matter. She'd say he's just doing this for publicity. It's just how many people do you know in your life that, or did you see that were claiming that he faked getting his ear shot because he wanted the publicity so bad? Sorry if I'm blinking a lot. I have something in my eye. Like, really? There were people in the world that were saying that this was fake. Bummer. Florida State fans are leaving the game. So, yeah, so it doesn't matter. Like, he's doing the right thing. There's video footage of him doing it, and there is a good, this, you can look at this and go, like, look at the filming of it and be like, look at who's not here. And there's no reason for them not to be there. That's why today it was ironic. But just dumb, I guess, that because of Labor Day, they're claiming that Trump went out to play golf. Well, Harrison Walls, here we go. Harrison Walls went out and campaigned on Labor Day. See, Vice President Harrison met with union workers in Detroit. Walls met with union workers in Milwaukee. VP Harris and President Biden met with union workers in Pittsburgh. Where was Trump? Golfing. Notice how they just meet with the union workers? I swear they spend most of their time when it comes to like workers with union workers specifically. It couldn't be because, it's very helpful politically to meet with workers of a massive organized group like a union, is it? And, there's that clown from the UAW who actively attacks Trump, calls him a scab, and endorses Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And guess what? He, I'm sure that he represents the views of all of the people that work for the UAW, right? I know a lot of people that work in the auto industry and are UAW members that are not going to support Kamala Harris come November. Not even close. So just because they're meeting with union workers or union leaders does not mean that's the collective idea and the collective support of the unions. That's just a very narrow way of thinking. But that's just funny that they're claiming, where was he on Memorial Day? Well, where were you when this whole memorial was going on? Why weren't you in Arlington? Oh, you were preparing for things. You had speeches to do. Where was Biden? Oh, he was on vacation again? It's so funny. You're not... Do you even know that Biden's president anymore? No. Me neither. They don't talk about him. He's irrelevant. They're trying to distance her from him, which is freaking hilarious. Because they talked about how he's one of the most accomplished presidents in our history, and yet they actively just ignore the connection between him and her. If he's one of the greatest presidents we've ever had in our lives, why? Why would they ignore that connection? I'm asking you. Oh, it's because none of this makes sense. Because they're all just deranged and have lost their minds. Like that freaking thing I read you. Oh, sorry, I'm reading this. There's another account called Comma HQ Lies, and I was like, I don't know what this thing is that popped up. So it's really funny to me how they're going to bash him for showing up to this event. Here's I don't even know what this is. It's from CBS News. We're talking about some alleged altercation that happened between Trump's staff and the people at Arlington Cemetery. Listen to this.
Well, we do know that the cemetery has filed an incident report, and defense officials tell us that's because members of the Trump campaign staff were aggressive both physically and verbally towards a cemetery staffer. That staffer was trying to enforce rules that prohibit campaigns from filming at grave sites across the cemetery, but especially at Section 60. Section 60, as you noted, is an emotional spot in the cemetery for so many because it is where many young veterans killed in Iraq and Afghanistan are buried. The Trump campaign denies that any incident occurred and that the campaign had explicit permission from the families to be in Section 60. However, federal law, according to the cemetery, dictates those guidelines, and the cemetery staff is very strict at enforcing them so that the burial sites of so many veterans who have sacrificed their lives under administrations, regardless of party, are not used as political props. The cemetery says they're not going to release any information any more information because they do want to protect the identity of the individual involved. But you can be sure that many news organizations will request that incident report from the Pentagon, from the local police departments.
Oh, interesting. Oh, we're not going to release the incident report. We're not going to tell you exactly what happened. Well, guess what? There was permission to do that. And if federal laws were broken, I guarantee you that they'll use it against him. So either way, convenient how they're not going to release it. Oh, we're just not going to. We're going to make a big deal about that. You've even really heard about this. Like, it's just not even a thing. But they have to do whatever they can to, demonize the guy. Doesn't matter what it is. Like I said, the guy could do anything. He could rescue puppies from a burning building, and they'd be like, "Oh, he's so repugnant. He only does that for attention." So, I guess we only have I'm only going to go for another 10-15 minutes here. So I was going to talk about Kamala's housing plan, but I'll do that tomorrow because that's a little bit more involved. I ended up kind of just talking about other things. But when it comes to the upcoming election, so this is something I want to play around. Let's just do a thought experiment here. So if you're on the left, you think Trump getting elected is the greatest. It's an existential threat. Okay? So you got Trump on the left, Trump to the left, threat. If Kamala gets elected on the right, existential threat. Who is right? So let's say, what do they say Trump is going to do? Well, they're going to say Trump is going to lock up journalists. He's going to take away women's rights. I'm keeping tabs here. He's going to lock up his political opponents. He's going to become a dictator. He's going to be president for life. He's going to end our democracy. I'm trying to think of all the things I've heard over the years. He's going to end like government programs, I guess. Okay, so if you could think of any more, I mean, there's so many of them. He's going to kick out our current government employees and replace them with MAGA extremists. He's going to, let's see. He's going to change elections so he'll never have to have another election again. These are some of the things, okay? All right. Now, Kamala. Why is she an existential threat? Because she'll go after free speech. Okay? She will expand government and censor the internet, social media. She will destroy the economy. She will make us, I guess, Marxists or communists, right? She will, I'm trying to think what else do like does the right say she's such a threat for? Take away guns. She will instill like the Green New Deal. She will, let's think here. Kamala Harris was elected. What else would she do? Let's just start there. Okay. So from the Trump side, so let's say that Trump is an existential threat. Lock up journalists. Did Trump do that before? No. Would Trump have the power to do that again? Or do that this time? No. So why would that happen? There's no authority to have that happen. But meanwhile, on the right, they have literally locked up people for doing their due diligence when it comes to investigations. Or they've gone after them legally. Look at look at how they've treated like Rudy Giuliani. Going after journalists explicitly. It's like there are really no mainstream right-wing major conservative outlets aside from Fox News, and Fox News is like barely, they pretend to be right-wing. And Trump has never implied that he would go after them. He wouldn't have the power to go after them. And there's no doubt that if it were up to the left, they would go really hard after people that basically, so you've heard it from Tim Walz, and we've heard it during the Kamala administration with Biden, that misinformation should be targeted. Hate speech should be targeted. Misinformation is when you're wrong, okay? You're wrong about what I say is right. Right? That's what you're doing. You're wrong. So who gets to determine what the truth is? Well, they do. Okay? So what do you think will happen to independent conservative journalists if they can put into place misinformation or hate speech laws? They tried to do a misinformation thing. Don't forget, they tried to do the Ministry of Truth or whatever. Like the Biden administration tried to make that a thing, like a government entity to police misinformation. So lock up journalists. Don't think that's going to happen from Trump. What about lock up political opponents? Do you think Trump would do that? No, but what? Wait, the left, did they go after political opponents? Oh, that's right. Peter Navarro, Steve Bannon, they're in prison. You know, Navarro went to prison. Bannon went to prison. Bannon's in prison. What about the all the people that worked with Trump from a legal standpoint when it came to the election stuff? Oh, they all got their lives ruined? Oh wait, what happened? Did the law go after him? Oh, you're right, they did. Was it over legitimate things? Oh right, it wasn't. Let's take that one off. Okay, what about, would Trump be a dictator? How would Trump be a dictator? The entire deep state is against him. The military is against him. The political establishment's against him. Big business is against him. During his administration, we saw generals actually go behind his back and communicate with foreign nations without his consent. And we have seen the entire deep state actively try to go after him. Okay, try to basically they're doing everything in their power to make sure the guy can't get elected again. Okay, they are terrified of it. Even internationally, they're terrified of it. Like the guy from the UN, I shared that video the other day. So being a dictator, it's a little bit harder than just saying I'm a dictator now. Guess what? What about be president for life? Trump is going to be 82 if he makes it through this whole term. I'm sure he is his intentions are he's just going to be president for life. Doesn't it interest you at all how the left, like, I guess, don't you find it interesting how everything is just in the moment? It's all like this instant gratification. Everything bad is happening now. They can't see into the future. They can't see like, oh, that's just not viable, that he would just like, what? He's just going to be president for life? I mean, he's already an old man. And that's not, you just can't be, like there will be, like they think there will be no mechanism to oust somebody who is like just declaring themselves president for life. Let's see. End democracy. How does one do that? If he's not going to be a dictator, how is he going to end democracy? I don't know. Imagine that. Oh, because he wanted to he wanted people to have voter ID and he was not happy with the results of the last election. Duh. Let's see. End government programs. Oh, because he wants to get rid of the Federal Department of Education and whittle down the bloated bureaucratic state. Oh no, not that. Heaven forbid. What about, oh, he's going to fill those posts with MAGA extremists. Yep, because that's been said anywhere whatsoever. The big one is women's rights. He has said a million times he thinks that you know, the right to choose should be up to the states, and that his eyes are not set on banning contraceptives or women's health or whatever stupid stuff and there's just no actual proof. The guy is just this, like, he just wants to have this like hyper nationalistic all white America. Give me a break. Now, will Kamala Harris ban free speech? If it was up to her, yes, she would. I talked about that already. The misinformation thing. We saw the Biden and Harris administration actively censoring people on social media. Zuckerberg came out and said it recently. There were other times, like during COVID, Jen Psaki said they were contacting social media groups or social media companies to actively censor people online that were purveyors of misinformation. What about expanding? What does this say? I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. What about take our guns? Well, she said that she would do a mandatory buyback in the past. Whether that will actually follow through or not, I doubt it. But I'm sure there will be a push to get rid of certain guns, like the dreaded, super scary one gun in the world they know exists by name. What about destroying our economy? Well, they're doing that already. So I would say she'll do a really good job of continuing that, because they are going to be all about government spending. I don't think the left knows anything about economics. If they really even wanted to pretend they did, they wouldn't be able to fake it in front of you. They don't know anything about economics at all. What about let's see here. I can't read my own gun. My handwriting's, sorry, I'm getting tired here. I'm getting slurry. I don't even know what this means. Either way, so who's right when it comes to this existential threat thing? Are both sides right? Are both sides wrong? I tend to lean toward both sides probably are a little wrong here. I see a lot of doomsdayers on, especially in X, from the right that are just acting like if Kamala Harris gets elected, this country's over. We're doomed. They're just going to take over everything. We're not going to have any more private property. They're going to destroy everything. I think they'll do a really atrocious job if they get elected. I don't know how we survive economically another one of these types of administrations. What is a true existential threat is if we get any hate speech laws, or if you get hate speech laws, or you get misinformation laws, you're screwed. That's the end to me. First Amendment, out the window if that happens. They'll pretend like you have your right to free expression like they do in, overseas, the EU. But nope. Once those rules are in place, you're screwed. And we have to really, really, really be sure that doesn't happen here. We're the only country in the world that has like really ardently protected free speech. Nobody else does. They all have, a lot of them have hate speech laws or misinformation laws. So if they can get something like that in the books, then you better bet everything that they will go after speech. It'll be hardcore online. Look at what's going on with X. And Rumble is just going to build out of most places that want to heavily censor. But Elon's got a lot of problems on his hands dealing with these nations that are refusing to allow free speech. Look at what's going on with Brazil. Look what's going on with the EU. They had Rumble had problems with France. There is a rise of leadership in this world that want to completely ban free speech. And the reason why is because the internet is an amazing threat to them. Do you ever wonder why they'll just go up in front of a crowd and blatantly lie? Just blatant. Don't even, just no questions asked. They will go up in front of say Trump called white supremacists very fine people. Or they'll go up and say, he called dead soldiers suckers and losers, or whatever. And it's false. And you can fact check it in an instant. Well, imagine if you didn't have the capability to question it or fact check it. Well, then they could do whatever they wanted. The narrative could be whatever they want it to be. That's when you're running into shaky territory where things could be super scary and dangerous. Will that happen? I don't know what to think anymore. I think if they had their ability to do it back in 2020, 2021, that they would have done it. I sincerely do. But are both sides right? Or are both sides wrong? Or is there merit to both sides? I'm of the premise at this point that most of what people see as a major threat of the Trump side of things, it's just preposterous made up crap because everything they do in the campaign is lie, like the Project 2025 stuff. I was watching football yesterday and I saw a commercial for Project 2025, like demonizing it. Seriously? Like, come on. This obsession makes no sense to me. But they can just lie. And that's what makes you think like they've got these people in a bind on their side that will believe anything they want about this guy. So I guess it'd be something interesting to delve into more deep soon, in more depth at some point. Because I do think about this a lot. How if you're online and you're just kind of in the middle, I just kind of don't care, I guess. Not like I care very much about the country, but as far as this election goes, I'm not like diehard on one side or the other, right? You can sit back and observe and see, wow, both sides are saying America's done if he gets elected or if she gets elected. So they both can't be wrong. They both can't be right. Because then if they're both right, then whoever gets elected, the country's screwed anyways. Right? Or they could be both wrong, I guess, which is probably more than likely the case. People need to get out of their heads that the president is a monarch who's going to come in and just do whatever they want. It's a lot harder than that, you know, and we don't know what's going to happen with the Congress, with like the congressional elections, with the Senate elections. We don't know anything about that yet. Nobody's even talking about that. The presidential election always gets all the press because people think if their presidential candidate gets elected, they're just going to get whatever they want from said president. Of course, in this case, Kamala Harris gets elected, you're going to get a bunch of free crap. You're going to get a bunch of money and a down payment on a house, and you're going to get, you know, probably your college tuition debt paid off or whatever, you know, which Biden promised. And then he just said, all right, we're going to write this off and other people are going to pay for it now. But, you know, she's promising you that. And Trump is promising you that, you know, he's going to come in and slash, you know, drain the swamp, and he's going to finally build his wall, and he's going to end the wars, and he's like, is he going to accomplish all that stuff? Well, he didn't do a very good job of draining the swamp in his first term because he didn't do it at all. In fact, he hired a lot of the people to work in his government and retained a lot of them and a lot of people that have done very detrimental things to our country. Okay. When you have John Bolton working directly, like you're talking about people that are tied to some of the most catastrophic decisions in American history. They're still out there. No repercussions. Well, in fact, of course they are. One of them is the president of the United States. You know, a guy that was a war hawk for getting, you know, when it came to getting us into the war in Iraq. And guess what? Still there, still in office, still the president. There's no, you know, nothing there. So, Trump, you know, I just don't have any faith that he'll come in and actually drain the swamp or whatever. I fear that I only really fear an attack on the First Amendment when it comes to the Harris camp. I really do. I fear laws that will give them loopholes into policing speech. It really freaks me out. It really does. All right, I'm going to call this video here. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share. I know this is kind of seemed a little impromptu. It was just kind of off the cuff. I wanted to make a video tonight because, you know, I try to do it every day of the week, Monday through Saturday. I miss a day here and there. So if I do, I apologize. I'm trying to be as consistent as I can be based off time in my life. I enjoy doing it. I usually do them at night when everybody else is asleep. So if you could please help me out, grow my channel. I would like to get around tomorrow to talking about Kamala Harris's housing plan and how it's really bad. And I want to kind of look more into this global free speech thing. Because as a true libertarian like I am, I think that is a very, very interesting topic to bring up. Of course, politics is always fascinating. Sitting back and watching American politics is a very fascinating thing to do. That's why I like to talk about it. As a historian, I'm a military, economic, and political historian, so it all falls into one. And I like observing history in real time, making of history in real time. Oh man, I worked out my arms and my shoulders really hard the other day. I can't like bend my elbows for some reason because of my shoulders. So my back is like itchy and I can't scratch it. So guess what I got? This trusty sucker. I have pretty rotten shoulders anyways. Have had to have major surgeries on them several times. And I can barely move them like this. Yeah. So, I know. Sorry about my personal problems. I'm just letting you know why I'm itching at my back. All right. Well, I hope you all had a wonderful Labor Day. Have a wonderful jump into fall. If you're a Florida State fan, I'm sorry. I understand that pain. I am also really going to try to sort out some more organized structure for this thing. Maybe do some more history. As a historian, I'd like to do some history videos for you all. If any video topics, let me know. I'll research them and I will do my due diligence and give you some good content. It'll be more of a produced thing with, educational content. So if you want me to do that, let me know. It can be on any topic, preferably politics, economics, or military history. If you want to do a combination of all three, I can do that. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, follow me on X. That's all. Have a great week. Stay safe. Enjoy your September, beginning of September, your beginning of fall. Football season is here. You gotta love it.